All right, welcome to Reality Rundown. It is myself, and it looks a little different. My co-host from last year, Holman, your favorite guy, he quit on me. So now this year we have my good friend Dal Baker. What's going on, Dal?
Not much. Just got done watching the show, and what are your first impressions on it? First of all,
Well, so we're gonna be talking about all season here. Big Brother 23. It's finally back to normal. It feels like last year. Honestly, I'm gonna start there. Last year with. Did you watch last year?
a little bit of it, but I didn't really get into it.
Well,
I'm
with it.
more survivor.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said I'm more Survivor than Big Brother, but I'm kind of want to get back into it just because it's I'm a big fan of reality TV, and I want to get in this one. I'm kind of glad I started back because this new season does seem pretty interesting, especially with the big reveal at the beginning.
Yeah, for
Where they're
sure.
at.
But where I was going with that is like last year they did the All Star season, and I feel like they did it at the wrong time. Like they could have waited 1 year, even 2 years, and gotten more of the people that like would have been more interesting. And even just with COVID, like with that going on, I just felt like they could have done so much better with it. But this year, I feel like we're back to normal. It's all new people. There's no returning people. There's no people that's been in the show or even any other reality TV shows. Nothing. So it's a fresh cast, and I'm really looking forward to it this year. But back to your question, my first impressions. Honestly, I'm excited. I know that there's a few that I'm like, these people have no chance. They're going to be gone quick. But there's about 5 or 6 that I feel like they have a really good chance of winning just based off the first episode, which is kind of crazy.
All right, so with that being said, if you were a betting man and give me 3 people as of right now who you think has a good chance of winning.
All right, my top 3 personally, I really like Derek X.
I agree. He would have been one of mine.
I really like Xavier.
Okay.
And the third one, I gotta go Kyland. I like Kyland a lot.
Okay. I would probably say the exact two. I kind of want to be a fan of Frenchie as of now, but my only problem with him is I feel like he's working too hard, and I think that's just who he is as a person, like very blue collar and everything. But I think all that's gonna do is just put a huge target on his back. So I'm not sure about my third, but I do agree with Derek X and Xavier. But the other one, I'm not so sure about.
I think Frenchie in the like preseason interviews, he was saying that there is no chance that he would ever throw a competition. He can't do it. That his family would kill him if he ever did it. In no circumstance he would do it. And like I get that at sometimes like you shouldn't throw competition, but there's some points where it's like okay, like you don't need to win this. Like just sit back, relax. And I think we saw a little bit of how Frenchie's gonna play at the end of this episode. But this episode does start with she's saying that there's going to be a lot of game-changing rewards, and this season's going to be all about gambling. And I thought that was going to be pretty cool. I don't know what they're going to do with that throughout the season, but we saw a little bit of it tonight, and I think the twists this year I hope are going to be good because in some seasons, you get twists that aren't great.
Yeah, and with it being about like risk taking and everything, I do think that maybe in a sense that could help a player like Frenchie, where he's like, I'm not throwing challenges, like I'm going to go all out. So maybe this risk taking, I think that encourages players to be more aggressive and maybe not lay back.
Yeah, I hope, but with Big Brother, the past how it's been, I can't trust them. I've got to see it because there's been too many times where they'll throw a twist out there and it completely just ruins the whole season. So we'll see what happens. Either way, let's go through the groups and let's just talk about who we like, who we don't like, what we see, like if we think these people have to win. The first group that came in was Travis, Derek. Was it Derek X? Crap.
Derek Frazier, Frenchie,
And Xavier.
Travis,
And Xavier.
and Xavier. Yes.
Yeah. So honestly, out of those, Travis, he was the Hawaii guy, right?
Yes.
He sounded like he was kind of intelligent, but then again, I feel like he's just gonna play that dumb jock, like he's just strong. He's gonna go for all like all the competition is going to be all over the girls. So, and really that mentality doesn't seem to really work in this game. It works for a while, but then you kind of get pushed off.
Yeah, one of my problems with, like, I don't know if I just think this way or the way that they cast, but some of these people who they're just too good looking, and they come into the game and they're like, well, I have a really good social mentality, and like their head, like they're just like airheads, and their heads get way too big for the mentality, and they're like, I'm just gonna walk in, and I'm gonna pull all the girls and pull the flirt card. Well, if everybody's like good looking, then like nobody's really good looking. Know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's headed. But I don't see Travis winning. I don't have him in my top even probably 7 to 10, but you never know. I mean, things could change. I
do want to point out he was the last one to get picked. So, or one of the last two to get picked, him and Sarah Beth. So I mean, maybe that mentality where he's like, I'm so good looking or whatever. Like maybe everyone's looking past that, and like if he was one of the first 4 voted out, like I wouldn't be very shocked at all.
I wouldn't either, not at all. But and honestly, I could see him just fading into the background and nobody even worry about him at all. It's just all about how he plays at the start. He can't go too hard, but we'll see. Frenchie was in this group. You already said you liked him a lot and you want to pull for him. But honestly, the way that, I mean, first impressions of him, you got to like him. But as this episode goes, we'll see that, like, you just got to relax, man. Just take it easy. It's the first night. You don't have to go this hard. Like, you're going to show your cards way too early.
But if we're talking about first impressions on a human or whatever, he was third in line when they were walking in, and as it was turning to get to the door, Xavier was behind him, and he like opened the door for him and was like, go on. And I don't know how much goodwill that will buy somebody in the game, but I do think that does show good character.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
That Southern, I don't know if you noticed that at all, but that just Southern mentality, like the Southern manners and Southern hospitality.
And him having kids, that's always a good thing. You pull like, man, I'm doing this for my kids, blah, 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 which I know it never really, like, at the end matters, but at least it might be able to buy him some time going a little bit forward.
And I think that he's one of the few people who can actually be honest with their working field or whatever, and like it not really affect, because I mean, you got one of the guys is Joe Frazier's son, the other one's a lawyer, and like all these other people they're like, oh, I'm so successful.
Yeah,
but
I feel like this is like the smartest cast of all time. Like all of them are like super smart. All have gone to college. All have these super successful jobs, and then you got Frenchie that's like, yep, I'm a farmer.
Yeah, so I do think he can be the one who doesn't have to think about his like background story going into the show. I think he can just be straight up, and I think he can play the straightest game out of everybody. I don't feel like he has to lie about what he does for a living, but everyone else, like, they're not, like, no one else is going to be like, oh, I'm super successful, because then as soon as it comes to voting somebody out or voting for the 750,000, it's like, well, you don't need the money. But Frenchie, I mean, dear Lord, yeah, I mean, it does look like he comes from one of the poor situations.
Yeah, for sure. But that gets us to Derek Frazier, which is Joe Frazier's son, the boxer. And honestly, he could not be any more different than Joe Frazier.
No, it's... I'll let you elaborate on that.
I mean, first of all, he's huge. He is gay. And honestly, like, I think he will do well because he's got to be athletic. I think he will get along with everyone. I don't think he can win. I mean, anybody could win, but I don't see him winning. But I do see him going a long way.
Yeah, I do think he has such which way to put it? Like his personality. I do feel like any of these other contestants in there, I feel like they could come straight to him and just be very honest. He does seem very like welcoming and warming, and even Frenchie. I mean, if you just look at those two and know their backgrounds, you really wouldn't think those two would like get along. And he's just like, "Hey, you remind me of my best friend."
Yeah, exactly. Where did that come? Yeah, where does that come from? But like, I do see him getting along with literally everyone in the house, and I think he will never. I don't think he'll cause any problems. I don't think he'll get too hot headed. Which I don't really know because I don't really know anything about these people. But I don't see him as the type that's gonna like rub anybody the wrong way.
Okay, and then so that leads us to who was the last one?
Xavier.
Okay.
Honestly, he might be my pick. I have him in a draw that we did with my family, so I hope he wins. But just overall, I think he's gonna do very well.
So when we think about like when you look at him, first impressions, what would you say?
He's a lawyer, so he's got to be very smart. He looked very fit. I mean, he seemed to be outgoing. He seemed to be personable. I mean, again, you never know what's going to happen, but he looks like he checks all the boxes as to someone who has the chances of being one of the best to win.
And former athlete as well.
Oh yeah, he played college basketball. That's right. I forgot about that. So you got to think he's, and I would not tell a single person in there that I played college basketball.
Or I wouldn't tell anyone's a lawyer. I mean, if I was him,
no.
From Kalamazoo, Michigan, I would just be like, I'm a school teacher. He very well spoken. So I mean, I really do like him too. Like I think he could go very far. He does seem like a strategist. I know everyone says that, but I mean, he just seems like my pick as well. Like if I had to bet on anybody, I'd say probably him.
Yeah, that is definitely my night one pick. And again, next week we could be sitting here being like, well, that was a terrible call. But we will go on to the second group. Well, actually, we got to talk about the comp. So the first group goes in. They go directly to the backyard, and they are there's 4 like plexiglass pictures that they had to put in order of the picture that's on the back wall. And honestly, it kind of looked kind of difficult.
Yeah, it was a plexiglass puzzle for anyone who didn't see it live at all, but it seemed like it very difficult. Like it seemed very difficult or whatever. And as I was watching it, I was like, "There's no chance I would try to win this. Just try to lay back. Like there's no reason to try to be a target on your back."
Nope.
And like we saw or mentioned earlier, Frenchie went straight for it, and he won without a problem. So
he buzzed in, didn't get it first, went back and got it right after. And so yes, Frenchie does win the first one, which means that he gets to play for HOH at the end of the episode. And that's all they really know at that point. So the second group, it's the group of the first girls. Is it Azah? How do you say her name?
Azah, I believe.
I think maybe Brittany, Alyssa, and Whitney. And out of these 4, I really feel like Azah or Alyssa are probably the 2 that will make it out of this group. The other 2 I don't see making it very far at all. If even maybe out of the first like 3 weeks.
I didn't particularly like anybody from this group, but I did find Azah
I think Azah will be the best out of this group.
I did find her with the most interesting background story because her grandfather was a prince or king in Cameroon. So her dad was one of 45 children.
Yeah.
300 cousins. I'm like, I mean, there's a background story right there.
Yeah, she will have a lot to talk about.
I did find her the most interesting, and then I believe they said she's director of sales operations, and then you had Brittany. They said she said she had autism, and I mean that's really empowering story. But she was like a taekwondo master or whatever. I mean, some very interesting characters, but like from that group, I didn't really particularly like. I didn't necessarily not dislike anybody, but I didn't feel like there was like a winner out of that that group of 4.
I just don't know why. Like if like Brittany, like she goes in and she is balls to the wall, screaming, yelling, like very high energy. It's like you want to blend in as much as possible night one. Even like the first couple weeks, just blend in. Don't do anything crazy. Don't be obnoxious. Don't rub the people the wrong way. Because if you go in and you're super annoying that first night, you're an easy target. So I just don't understand that mentality. And again, she did say she had autism, so maybe like it's just her, like she can't help it. But
yeah, it could be like a certain coping mechanism. But
true.
I think with Dimension Survivor again, like there's really like two kind of things you got to do like going early on, and I think it's like try not to create like a target on your back and like just shut your mouth. Like I feel
Right.
like the ones who try to take charge too much, or the ones who are like when it's early on in the game, they don't really need too much of a reason to get rid of you. Like it's either like they think you're a big target, or they just think you're annoying and they're just like
Yeah.
hit the road.
Yeah, normally like that first couple are like, "Oh, you got last in the competition. This is all I have to go on, so you're on the block." And it's like, "Come on, like what are we doing here?"
Yeah.
But if it were me, I would blend in completely. But again, she took the opposite stance, and she was very very vocal and very loud, and I think that's not going to slow down at all. I think she's going to be very obnoxious the entire time she's there, and I think that's going to really be a disadvantage for her.
And whenever Julia announced the 700 like 50,000 like was the extra prize, like she just lost her mind.
That's
I'm
what.
like, you gotta like you have like I understand being like so excited because it's gonna be the biggest Big Brother prize ever, but there's part of it where like you got to know you're like it's a social game, but like it's like you got to be in the game. Like you have to like not go too crazy. But then another part to that is like oh, she's going so crazy over the money, like she might really need it as well.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. No, for sure. Um, Whitney didn't give us much. She's a single mom of two. I mean, I think from what I saw preseason, her backstory is actually like super crazy. Like she was basically homeless with her kid and ended up like doing well for herself. But I don't see her doing well at all. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't think
Whitney,
she. Go ahead. Sorry.
Whitney, like a lot of the other ones, it's like like almost everyone on here has some sort of almost like not rags to riches or whatever, but like all of a sudden like they're doing very well in the
Correct.
business
Yeah.
world and everything. But like yeah, said she was a single mom and she's like, I'd really love to win this money for my kids and everything. So just another. It feels like a very typical like Big Brother story. Like I want to win this money for my family. I mean, who doesn't? But I didn't. She didn't really stick out to me. She didn't seem like she had
No, I
too
like
much.
that's what I was about to say. She brought nothing to the table whatsoever. I feel like she's just there. Like she's not gonna do anything crazy. She's not gonna like be the person that forms alliances. She might get brought along, but I just don't see her really doing anything. But again, like
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, we could be like, well, she's running the place. But
Yeah.
I don't see it. And then Alyssa, the same with her. I didn't really see much from her. I, I don't know. I think she's gonna be one of those that blends in, and she will. I think she'll make it far. I don't see her winning, but I do see her getting into an alliance and just getting carried. At least jury. I think she'll make jury.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like Alyssa and Whitney, like not every single season can have like you can't have everybody can't be a main character. I mean, it's like any cast
Right.
on any show. You have your main characters, you have your supporting characters, and you have your reoccurring guests. I feel like her like I don't think you'll see too many videos or clips of her like in the diary room giving too many confessionals because I don't think she's gonna be one of those characters who necessarily like lead the storylines at all. I feel like she'll be part of an alliance, but not lead anything at all. I feel like she's just gonna be one of those floaters.
She's gonna be brought along. Yep.
I feel like she's gonna be persuaded extremely easy, and I feel like she'll be part of an alliance just because she'll be a part of a vote. Like someone's like, I need numbers.
Yep.
I can guarantee you safety. Just vote my way, and then
Yep.
once they're done with it, they'll just throw her away.
Yep. So that competition, same thing. Whitney wins this one. I mean, Whitney did win, but then again, I still like this one is just kind of a fluke. I think a couple people threw it. I think a lot of them threw it actually, but Whitney did win. So she will be the second person along with Frenchie to play in the HOH competition at the end of the episode. So then we get to the third group. It's the second set of guys. It will be Kyland, Christian, Derek X, and
Brent.
Brent.
From Rhode
Correct.
Island.
Correct. Brent might be the most obnoxious person on the cast.
I agree. I thought that, and it's just like that smile that he has, and he's like, "I'm gonna stab people in the back when I'm doing the smile on my face."
I think
like,
he thinks that he is the best, and like he is very narcissistic, and thinks that nothing is like he's gonna win this with ease. And I think he's gonna be in trouble quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna come in, thinks he's gonna run this show. I think he's going to assume that people have his back when they really won't. I
Correct.
feel like he's going to step on some toes early.
I think he's going to be the one, night one, that goes and talks to like 5 or 6 people, and he's going to try to start something, and all of these people are going to act like they're part of it, but then they're all going to like talk about it with each other and be like, yeah, I'm not teaming up with this guy.
And if I don't know how, that's my impressions through the TV screen. But I mean, if I was in the house, I don't know if I necessarily would want to be in an alliance with someone who's going to step on that many toes, because then that's just going to bring eyes towards me.
Right. And the only thing I wrote down about his like opening thing where they like show the video is how many one-handed cartwheels can this guy do in like 30 seconds. Like he thought that was like the coolest thing in the world, and all he did was literally just like kind of flop.
Yeah, but Brent, I think he, in a sense, I think he almost, in these reality shows where, you kind of try not to piss people off, I think he might piss so many people off.
I think, yeah, I was about, yeah.
People might want to bring him along. It's like, well, if I sit next to you, it's be no-brainer.
I think the opposite, though. I think he might be the most hated out of everybody on this cast, and it's going to turn quick. I don't think anybody's going to like him.
No, but
you're right. You're right. If someone takes him, they're like, maybe I can get it. But I just don't think. I think he's going to be an easy person to be like, I'm putting you, Brent, up. Sorry, but nobody likes you. Yeah. But we'll go forward. We got Kylan next. I do like him. I think he's got a good shot. I just think he's going to be personable. I think he's going to be athletic, and I just think he's going to be pretty good. I think he's got a shot.
I do think that we're talking about personalities and just going to the house. Like he looks around, very nice smile. Looks like he has great energy. Somebody you'd want to be stuck in the house with no cell phone or internet or anything. Right. He does seem like a type of energy guy that just brings positive vibes. But other than that, like I really didn't have too much on him because he didn't really do well in this competition, and then he didn't do well in the other HOH competition. So I mean, other than that, but like he might have just thrown it because not to create a target. And
correct.
So far, like all the people I've seen, he does seem like the one like you'd not really think about that much or as much.
Again, he's one of those like Derek Frazier that I just don't think he's going to rub anybody the wrong way, and I think everybody's going to like him. So I don't know. I just think he has that about him. And then going forward, Brent. Oh no, we talked about Brent. My bad. Christian. That's who I meant. I don't think he's going to do well. He's like the stereotypical person that like in this show doesn't do well.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, he's like a general contractor as well. So, I think when we're talking about backgrounds or whatever, he also will be able to just give a straight answer and like what they do for a living, not have to lie.
Right.
I could see maybe a possible alliance with Frenchie, just because like they come around from the kind of the same background, just that blue collar. But I do think he's 23 right now. I think he's one of the youngest contestants in the house, and maybe, if not the youngest. And I do think he might just be a little bit over his head. I think if this is down 4 or 5 years down the line, I feel like he'd be better suited for the game.
It doesn't help too that one of the first things he said was like, "I'm going for a showmance." Like you're going in like, yes, I want to have a showmance. That never really ends well.
No, it doesn't. But it does. Sometimes it does make good for good television, because I do think when everyone's a strategist on the season or whatever, I do think sometimes it does make for like boring seasons.
Yeah, you're right.
People are so afraid to step on toes. Like I do think sometimes you need these people who just come in
and just don't care about anything,
cause havoc, they screw up, but they give you good entertainment and then they leave. Like I don't need everyone to be a strategist. I don't need everyone to be walking on pins and needles or whatever. I need some people to come in. He might give us 2 or 3 episodes of entertainment. I don't think he'll be too memorable, but he might give you a laugh or two. But like I said, if he's gone the first 4, I wouldn't be surprised.
Correct, yeah. And we might be wrong. He may be the most outgoing guy, and like everybody loves him. I just see him coming off as like super arrogant and no one liking him. But again, we could be wrong here. I don't know. But this next one, I think, has probably he was in my top 4. I think he has one of the best shots as well with Kylan and Xavier. And this is Derek X. I just think he's got it all. I think he's going to be loved by everybody. I think he's going to be athletic, but not too athletic to where like it's going to throw people off. Like he said, he was a nerd all his life until college. So I think he can bring that out as like not much of a threat. So I think that's going to help him a lot.
Yeah, and just going by on first impressions and everything, when you see this guy along with Kylan or whatever, like he just looks like a very lovable character. He does seem like he brings positive vibes, and like you said, he was like a nerd growing all up. So I mean, clearly there's some brains behind him and everything. And one of the things, if I don't know everyone listening, I don't know how long they've been listening to or been watching the show, but along with Survivor, like these early seasons or whatever, you had people coming in who like weren't even like knew what the show was. Now
Everybody knows.
Yeah, everyone's they're a super fan. They've watched every season. It's like, and he seems like someone like very young, 24, extremely young, lives in New York,
super smart.
I could see him going so far, and like he just doesn't look like a threat. Like,
exactly. I think that's the biggest key out of everyone. I don't think he's going to come off as a threat. Like everybody else looks super athletic, looks super strong. Like I think he can just sit back, relax, and get to the end and then start winning. And then it's too late for everybody. So like I think he could do very well if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, not super athletic, but athletic enough to win
exactly
challenges.
Exactly.
And when you looking back at all throughout Big Brother, I mean, look how many head of household competitions are just remembering questions about everybody. So he's gonna be super observant and everything. So
that's like Ian from 14 and last year. He had a photographic memory. So like all of the memory stuff, he killed it. He won 14 because he killed all of those competitions, and nobody thought him as a threat because he really wasn't until they were like, oh crap, he's super smart, and he won.
Yeah, so I really like him. Derek and Xavier, those are probably my two, maybe not favorite. I think Derek X might probably be my favorite just as far as first impressions, but Derek and Xavier, I think they will go the furthest just from first impressions on the first episode alone.
Yep, I agree. So out of that group, Christian won, so he will compete. And then the fourth group, the last group of girls, we've got Sarah, Hannah, Claire, and Tiffany. So my first impressions of Sarah was, we've got to get this girl set up with Grant.
Yes.
That's all I could think about.
Yes, she's very anime. Like, she doesn't even seem like a real person. Like, really childish, even though she's almost 30. She makes her own clothes, and then they tell us she works as a forensic scientist. I'm like
which
what?
Again, she's super smart,
where
but
did that come from? Like how?
And here's the problem I think with her is no one in that house will be able to relate with her whatsoever. There's going to be no one that's going to be like going up to her, like having conversations with her, because what do you talk about with this girl? Like no one is a scientist. No one cares about anime. No one it's just going to be tough for her to get in with people, because I just don't think people are going to like go and have conversations with her at all.
And one of the things is she came across like just very annoying as well. So it's like not only can people not relate to you, but people probably will not like her.
Don't want to Go ahead.
High pitched voice. I mean, you're stuck in the house 24 hours a day, no internet, and all you have to do is talk to these people. And there's 24 hours in the day, and I don't want to spend 1 minute talking to you.
Right. I think she may be first or second out, without a doubt.
Yeah. First four, that's for sure.
But then again, like you get people like in Big Brother 20, Sam, she made it to Final Four, and she was like very different. No one really had anything in common with her. She didn't really talk to anybody. She kind of just did her own thing, and she was super weird, but she made it to top four just because she got carried along because she was a vote. Which that could happen too. She could get in with a person and they just know that is a vote for me. That's a vote for our team. So we will take you as far as we can. You never know. But if I had to bet and put money on it, I think she goes quick.
Yeah. I mean, that is also a good point when you talk about that, because there's characters all throughout Big Brother to where their biggest strategy is they almost have no strategy,
Right.
and that like people are like, I'll carry you along, just and it might be a thing to where nobody really reaches out to her or whatever, so she feels so alone. So the
Yep.
first person that does reach out to her, the first alliance that does reach out to her, she might show loyalty in the long run. It's like, I'm going to vote your way. And then this is a game all about numbers, and she's, I mean,
You,
everyone's a number. So I mean, I don't see her going far, but I mean, I could see maybe a scenario where she gets carried. I mean, she's not
yep.
going to do anything by herself. That's
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely not. If she does anything, she will get carried by a group or a couple people, and then she will get tossed. She will be the first one out when it gets to like the numbers are to where they have to get one of their own out. She will be the first one. So again, I don't see her winning at all. I don't think she's going to be good at any competitions, and I hate to say it, I think she might be the worst person on this season.
He's not a favorite, that's for sure.
No, 100% not. Then we go to Hannah. She is basically a genius, I guess, which she is going to lie about what her career is, which I don't know what her career is. I think she's still in school. I don't know. She graduated high school at 16 and graduated college in 3 years, so at 19 with some kind of biology degree. And then she's going on to do something else. Either way, she's super smart, but she's going to tell everybody that she's a fashion major. So it will be interesting because, like, I know, especially in, I keep going back to Big Brother 14, but in Big Brother 14, Danielle was a nurse, and she thought that, like, that was apparently too smart of a career to, like, be truthful about. So she said that she was, I forgot what she said she was, but then she would start using like terms that like only nurses really say, like about medicine and stuff. So people caught on that like she wasn't what she was saying she was. So like it will be interesting to see how far she can keep that facade up and not, because when people are like that smart, you like people catch on to how smart you are. It's going to be tough for her, I think, to play dumb, really, if that's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, Hannah was another one, like another character who she didn't really pop off the screen
Nope.
when they did her interview or whatever. She had like all she was is like she had like all this stuff going on, but she's like, I love school the most. You know, I graduated this. She said her dad's African or her mother's African, her father is Indian, so she's mixed. She didn't really pop off the screen. I can't. I guess she's smart, but I don't know if her social game will carry her long enough. Because, like I said, everyone's good looking in this game.
Right.
So it's like when you come in, you're like, I'm just going to have a social game and I'm just going to rely on my looks or whatever. I don't know what that's going to do for you when in a house with all good looking people. So
Right.
didn't really pop off the screen. I could see her going early. I wouldn't be surprised. Another one of those characters who could just be a vote and get carried long term. She didn't have really like a huge uh, presence at all. So yeah, just I didn't think she's a really good character at all. But you know, not everyone can be have a star role. Some people have to be reoccurring guests, and some people have to be um, just other characters. So I just don't really have much to say about her.
I agree. And then we get on to Tiffany, the oldest cast member this year. She is 40 years old, and it goes back to a thing that we're like, I don't think many people are going to have much like in common with her. Maybe kids like Frenchie. I guess Frenchie will probably have the most in common with her just because of kids. Maybe Whitney, but like I don't see many people going and talking to her and like reaching out and having conversation with her because like they don't have much in common with her. You're talking about 23, 24, 25, 26-year-olds and then a 40-year-old. It's just there's not much there. So I can see her just not fitting in much. But again, we've seen it multiple times where the old person does stick around for a while. But then in 20, you got Steve, first one out, because he's the old guy and has nothing in common with anybody. So it's just, I don't see her doing well. But she is fit. And honestly, like I could see her doing well in like the first two competitions and then being a threat and they're getting them out then. Or the boys or the big alliance bringing her in just because she is tough. I don't know.
Yeah. And just to go back to Hannah real quick, she actually is the youngest in the season, only 21 years old, just to throw that out there. And then you said Tiffany, she is the oldest at 40, which, you know, you never know how it could be played, and they haven't revealed their age yet, so she could be one of those people who just be like, say that they're a little bit younger than they are because they don't want to be known as the old one. Like say, Frenchie says he's 34, and she's like, "Well, I'm 35, so we know we got that going on."
I was about to say Frenchie's 34, but he looks like he's probably the oldest there.
Oh yeah, and then you said you couldn't see anyone relating to her. To me, the way she come through the TV is I feel like she almost like that motherly role that like that. I feel like every Big Brother house has like one way or another, so I can almost see people, especially like the younger people in the house. I feel like they can come to her just for like a little bit of advice. So she's the wild card of it all. Like this is one that I have no idea what to think about because you have that. You said she's like the oldest, so you never really know how that's going to work. You can either be the first person voted out, or you can go far. She does seem very, very strong-willed. Like she seems like a really strong woman, so you never know how that can go. I would like to see her and Xavier team up because I do feel like that could be a very dynamic duo in the house. Like
right.
I like her, but I just don't know about her. She's a wild card, I think.
True. And also with normally the old person in the season, they're never like in shape. They're never really fit. They're just kind of there. They're old and they stick around for a little bit. But with her, she is older, but she's not that old. She's 40. So like she's still in shape. She's still got it. So like it might be different this year with like the old person. It might not be like any old person in the house. She might just blend in with everybody, you know?
And going back to where you said, like, sometimes the old person just was, like, out of shape. I mean, you go back, I'm blanking on what season it was with Dan Gaislin. You had the Colonel on there.
Yeah.
Like, old.
He was, like, 80.
Yeah. Then you go back to Big Brother All-Stars. You had Chicken George on there. You know, he wasn't in shape at all.
No.
But, I mean, this woman, part of her whole as they showed in her interview or whatever, like she's really in the CrossFit. She was like she's in shape. So,
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I could see her doing good in competitions. I think social game. I know it's a big thing for everybody, but where she's a little bit older, I feel like the first week will be so important for her. So she's a wild card.
I think you called it best with wild card because I think this one is the one that could really go either way. Like out of everybody, this is the one I have no clue.
Yeah.
And then for last we have Claire, which was actually an alternate. She wasn't supposed to be on the show. Christy, I think her name was. She got coronavirus, and like I think 5 days ago, they switched to the alternate, which was Claire. And online on Twitter, everybody, like the people that are big into Big Brother, seem to think she's the preseason favorite. She did like this thing where people in different cities do like their own Survivor, and she was like the main person that did it in her city. She did like this big long, like she wrote out this thing about Big Brother and like her, like I don't really know, but like everybody's big on her. They think she's going to do very well. At least the public does. I think her and Azal are my two like favorites going in for girls. We'll just see what happens. She kind of came off as really annoying, but she may be good. I don't know. We'll see.
I do think one of the more interesting parts about her is she like throwing it out and she's like, I date guys, I date girls, or whatever.
Right. So she'll mix it up. She'll mix it up for sure.
She will. I don't know how that will necessarily play in Big Brother house. She also said she's a engineer. You know, another one of these people who like extremely smart.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is legit the smartest cast of all time.
But I don't know how that will necessarily. I do agree, but I'm not totally sure how that's going to work out for the game overall. Because like if everyone's in the house is just a genius and smart, like I don't know how necessarily that's going to move the game too much.
Right.
But it is interesting how everyone's smart. I mean, everyone.
All of them. There's like 3 that aren't, and then the 3 that aren't stand out big time.
Yeah.
But either way, Claire wins that one out of that group. So we come back from commercial, and they are in there. The four that won are up there by themselves, and Julie says that the twist this year is that they are going to be playing in teams of four. So each person that won in that group are going to pick between. They're going to hit a button. This slot machine is going to pull down two people. Of the two other people, two girls, two guys, and they're gonna have to pick between the two to be on their team. And honestly, like I'm not shocked there's teams because we're due. It seems like it was like 14, 18, and now 23. So it was going about every 4 years they were doing teams, and now we're back to it's basically on pace because they did All Stars last year. So it makes sense for them to do teams this year. But I'm honestly I'm excited for this twist. I think it's just something different. It brings something different to Big Brother. It's not the same old thing every single year. So I'm excited they did this because I think it's gonna be chaos.
Yeah, I always like the team aspect. I mean, eventually they have it for a little while and it
Right.
breaks down, but it is an interesting factor because I don't think you want to piss too many people off when you're working in teams because like the teams are always probably be random or whatever, and you don't ever want to have too many enemies in the house to where they could just throw this competition and like, well, you can't win ahead of household this week or whatever, and you might need that safety. So I do think it makes everyone walk on eggshells for the first little bit, which I think it's good for strategy, but I don't know how it's going to come across as like entertainment wise because when I watch Big Brother, like the most memorable stuff is always like the arguments, always the fights and everything. So just really interested to see how it works out. Like,
Yeah,
I think we have a really good season going on.
And it also makes it to where, like, in normal seasons, you get, like, the tough guys, like the two big guys that are, like, really athletic and really good at competitions. They control basically the first few weeks of, like, they build a big alliance. They're the ones just steamrolling. I think this way it makes it to where, like, it's pretty random and it's not like one team is stacked and one team isn't. So it forces, like, there to be alliances that normally there wouldn't be.
Yeah, a little crossover appeal because everyone's gonna be eating like at the same different dinner tables. You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna be with the same people. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it's gonna work out.
And like what I'm like, and it too, it can be bad because like you were saying, like you piss someone off on your team and they just throw the comp and then you're screwed. But like, and then that's kind of what happened in 14 when Janelle had her team. It was like her, Will, maybe Joe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Will hated Janelle, so he just didn't try. He just didn't care. He didn't like her, so he was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I want you out of here. So that could happen too, where you just someone throws it and they're screwed.
Yeah, it is not necessarily a twist, but you know, they go back to it every often. So it's time for it. I do agree.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. But either way, we have Frenchie gets to go first because he won first. He picks Azah first, which I thought was a really strong pick. I don't know who it was up against, maybe Hannah. But either way, he picks Azah, and I that was probably a really strong pick for him.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily see it coming for whatever reason, but I do think of all the people who drafted their teams, I do think Frenchie had the strongest.
I disagree, but we'll get there. Either way, we'll go through this quick. Frenchie picked Azah first, Brittany second, and Derek Frazier, I think, last. So, yeah, that's true. And, yeah, because he said that he reminds me of his best friend, and we're like, what? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things. I think Frenchie, I don't know how far he'll go, but I think the rest of America will love him just because, I mean, two of the three people he picked, I don't think you would necessarily expect it at all. And that line where he's like, looked at Derek. Am I saying it? Is it Derek?
Yeah, Derek Frazier.
Yeah, Derek Frazier. Sorry, Derek Hicks and Derek Frazier. He looked at Derek, and you look at Frenchie, and from Clarksville, Tennessee, works on a farm, probably conservative looking at him, and then he looks at Derek, person of color, like gay, like hasn't really said he's Smoking Joe Frazier's son yet or whatever. He's like, you're probably my best friend. Like, you didn't see that working out, but I think that says a lot to Frenchie might be a lot more open-minded than one might assume, and Derek just being so lovable and having such a personality you can just come to. So that's a really interesting dynamic I see right there.
And I think Frenchie's showing that he is open and that he's not like closed-minded in that way. I think showing it early right there will help him in the long run.
Yeah.
Either way, sorry, go ahead.
I was like, that was just a very strategic pick, because if I was seeing all those people, like, I don't think if you're just looking at people, like, if you had to look, they didn't really know what the competition was to begin with before they were picking their teams, and like Derek really probably the more out of shape people,
Right.
so you wouldn't really think to like pick him, but he's like, you remind me of my best friend, so I'm just going to pick you. So
Yep.
I do think that was a very strategic pick. Long run, I think that will buy him goodwill. I think that will make anyone be able to come and talk to him or talk strategy, break bread with anybody. So a very interesting picks that he had.
I agree. Then we get to Whitney's team. She picks Brent first, which might be the worst pick of the whole show. Like, when she picked Brent first, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Which, again, they don't really know. Like, they're not really getting much to go off of. So I get it. But then again, like, I think that will come back to hurt her bad.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate, when, the game, you hit the button and then it gives you two people, random characters to select or whatever. Her two choices were Brent and Travis, so I think she kind of had the worst two people to pick,
Yeah, it's
but
tough.
I do think she picked I do think Travis might have been the lesser of two evils or two dorks or whatever, but she didn't have a good one to collect. So
I agree with
but
that.
I do think Brent was the worst one, and I think you almost might have to, just on that selection alone, I think that might accidentally lead to some kind of alliance down the road. And I wouldn't want to be any part of that. But I mean, she didn't see the videos that we saw beforehand, so
Correct.
she may not know him. So
Yep. Then she chooses Derek X, which I think was a really good pick. And then last, she got Hannah. So not a great team, but not a great team. I don't like this team at all.
No, I mean, she took Brent, which is probably one of the worst ones, and then she immediately took Derek afterwards or whatever. So it's like you have one of the worst ones and one of the best ones. So I don't know how that balance out long term. So
yeah, I don't like it. I don't think they're going to do well. Either way, Christian's team, he picks Alyssa first, then he gets Xavier, then Sarah. Decent team. You got Christian and Xavier. I think them two together will be pretty good. I don't think if they weren't on a team together, I don't think they would have been paired up at all together. I don't think would have gotten along really. I mean, maybe gotten along, but I don't see them being like, oh, we should start an alliance or we should get an alliance together. But now that they're on a team, I think they could do some damage.
I do think if you looked at every single team, I do think the one with Xavier and all them, it's like they almost just hit the random button, because no one on that team seems like they'd get along. I don't see any alliances being formed out of that, but you never know. It's just like they hit the random number generator and they all came up together.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last team, which I think is the best team, is Claire. She picks Kylan first, Tiffany second, and Travis third. I just think that's a really stacked team.
Yeah, I do. Maybe not from a social aspect, but when you talk about just elite, like fitness or maybe like athleticism, I do think that's probably one of the best teams.
Yeah.
Even though you do have Kylan, then I do think he might be one of the stronger players in the game. But I just don't think. I think Travis is going to be out so early. I don't know how that's going to work out.
I just think he's like, if he goes too hard too quick and shows that he's like some big threat, it's not going to be good for him. But I think if he can just sit back, relax, get along with everybody, I think he could do well. But it's just all how he starts out. Like, if he goes too hard too quick, then it's going to be bad for him. Because you always get those couple people that the first week they are like talking to everybody, trying to get this big alliance to form, and everybody talks. Like, it's not like no one's going to talk. You get lucky every now and then, but most of the time, that first big alliance normally gets talked about, and you end up getting outed as this guy that's trying to do too much, and then you're the first one out. So we'll definitely see someone do that. It'll be interesting to see who does it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the way like in Travis, he's on there. I think he can be such of an athletic threat to the game or whatever. But I don't think I think as his character, I don't think you want to come out too big of a threat because I don't think his social game or his personality is enough to get him out of like hot water.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, we'll see. I think it always sucks because the first episode, you just don't know anything about these people. And then, like, a week or two in, you start getting a feel for, like, how these people are and how they act and how they are socially. And that's when it gets really fun because you can see, like, oh, Travis is good socially and, like, people really do like him. Or, oh, he is terrible and people absolutely hate him. So I think in a week or so, we'll get a better grip of who is going to be really good in this game and who's not going to do very well.
Yeah, I mean, these are just first impressions. I mean, I think the biggest aspect of the show that we really haven't seen at all is when they sit down, they lay down, and they talk to these people because that's mainly what Big Brother is more than anything. It's just how you can relate to someone, sit down and talk. Because I mean, challenges as important as they are or whatever, that's not going to get you votes to keep you in or in the house, out of the house, or get you the money prize at the end.
Right. And then also I want to note that have-nots are back, which I really, really hope that they will like enforce the rules of have-nots because for the past several years, it's like someone will break the rules of being a have-not and then just nothing happens. So it's like, what's the point of having have-nots if there's no punishment for it? Like make an example out of the first person that breaks the rules, make them a nomination, and then no one will break the rules again. Like it's so annoying that they won't enforce the rules on this.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, if you're gonna have a rule, like enforce it. Otherwise, like, why even have the rule?
Exactly. Like it's mind-boggling. Why not? But I do think that with the last team with that competition having to be have-nots, I think that will work in their advantage because they will have pity on them. They'll like when they're going to put nominations up, like, oh, we're not going to touch the have-nots. Like you've had it hard enough this week. So I actually think that will be an advantage for Christian's team, Christian, Holistic, Xavier, and Sarah. I don't think any of them would be put up. Maybe Sarah, just because she's just an outcast, but I don't think they're going to put any have-nots up.
Okay, so now with Frenchie, he is head of household for
Correct.
the week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So so he did win the competition, and they gave him a chance at Double or Nothing where he had to throw these dice onto a table. If they landed on the table in 40-something seconds, then he would have been HOH this week, and his team would be safe next week as well. So he decided not to do that, so he will be HOH, and it's just everything stays the same. So, yeah, go with what you're saying. My bad.
But I'm saying Frenchie did win the head of household. I mean, just like his personality, like I don't know if that would create a target. I don't know if it's going to create a target for him, but he went super hard.
Yep.
In every competition. I mean, he said he didn't do the safety, but he's like, well, it's just to see if we did, and he did do it. So I mean, if he would have Double or Nothing on, I mean, he would have been safe for 2 weeks. You know, one head of household. I mean, he drafted that team on his own. So I mean, therefore, you would think that he has maybe not 3 alliance members, but 3 people who aren't looking at him to target. That might have bought him some goodwill. But from what you've seen so far, and you've seen first impressions and everything, who do you think that Frenchie will put up for?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, if it were me, again, you don't know because, like, you just don't know what they're going to talk about this next few days, which that's another thing. Like, in previous years, last year they did this, but before last year they had never done this. We're getting live feeds, night 1. So, like, the feeds will be up tonight, whereas in usual weeks, it's like 5 days in. You get feeds 5 days in. So, you miss, like, the first week of, like, things that are going on. So, you don't really see, like, the alliances being formed or all this stuff. So like now we will actually see that. So I think night 1 and 2 will be very important because he's just going to go based off of like first impressions. But I mean, you couldn't get more opposite of him than Sarah and like just throw someone out there. I don't even know. I don't have a clue. Brent maybe? Brent and Sarah. I can see him put up Brent and Sarah.
I'd say maybe.
And that's just because I don't like Brent, maybe, but I don't have a clue. I genuinely have no idea.
The way I read Frenchie, because I mean, this isn't Big Brothers like 1 through 5 to where these people are just coming on. These are all super fans. And he said himself in the interview, every season he watched, he writes down what he would have done different. And I think one of the biggest mistakes when people went head of household at first, I think they create a target on their back, but they also, I think they try to put up a big enemy or a strong, another strong player in the game to where when they don't get voted out, they'll come straight back for them. So I think he's a really smart player. So I think who he's going to put up first, I think Sarah Beth to begin with, and I'd say maybe Alyssa, just because I don't, or Alyssa or Hannah, just because I don't think they'll have enough allies in the game to come right back at him and put him up. You know, I don't think they're going to win head of household next week and put him up.
And you said that the first head of household, they normally make a target out of themselves. But, I mean, I think it's hit or miss. Like, you got Tyler 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. He was the first HOH, and he should have won that season without a doubt. Like, he was the best player that whole season. And him winning HOH that first week really set him up to be very good that season. He controlled all the power. He knew everything that was going on. But I think that's a testament how good Tyler was because he didn't have a target on his back winning that first HOH.
Yeah, but you never know. It's Big Brother, so and we're just all speaking on first impressions of the season.
And it's all about how he's going to play it. He can be very arrogant about it and rub people the wrong way, or he can be very open and like, hey, you guys can come up here anytime, hang out, blah, blah, blah. Or he can be one of those that's like, no one's coming in here. I'm just going to stay to myself. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for this season. I think
it's going to be very fun. I think they're going to do some different stuff. I don't think it's going to be like any other year. In the past it's been kind of stale just because they keep just doing the same stuff. So I'm hoping this year is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you stick along with me because I think this season's going to be fun to talk about.
Yeah, but I know we talked about earlier, just real quick before we get off here, we talked about who we like our top three of like who we think we're going to win.
Yeah.
And every season, what makes a Big Brother season better than anything, I think, is you need a villain. You need someone you hate, like you need someone you got to root against. That way, whenever they win a competition, there's some form of emotion to where you get pissed, or like when they get voted off or put on the block, you're like, I hope he goes. Like you need your evil dicks. You need your James on Big Brother season 5. Like even like your Ians to where they're like so annoying, like you don't like them, or your Dan Gieslings to where like they're kind of the anti-hero to where they do like jerkish stuff, but you kind of pull for them.
We just need good personalities to where it's not just like the same thing where one group steamrolls and it's just very boring. We just need fights. Like Big Brother 19, like as bad as people hate it, like it was fun because there was just fights all the time. There was something going on in every single episode. And like the past couple, it's just been the same. Like we know what's going to happen before it happens every single week. So I just hope this summer and this season it's just going to be like you never know what's going to happen. You never know who they're going to put up, and there's just stuff everywhere, which I think the team aspect will help on that.
Yeah, and I want a villain so bad, but I think Brent could be that in a way, but I don't know if he's going to be smart enough to
I don't think he's going to stick around long enough to be the villain.
Yeah, so I mean, through all these people, like I just don't know who could be it. But like I could see Brent if he could like find enough like followers to like create an alliance to where he could kind of be a front runner and be a jerk or whatever and have the votes and not get like taken off. So I kind of want Brent to be a villain, but I think he's just going to be such an arrogant jerk. I think he's going to be out of there quick.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm literally about to pee myself. So let's get your official pick for the winner. So we'll write this down. We'll see if we get it right. Who's your pick?
Just one?
Just one person. Yep, that's all you get.
Well, I think I'll take Derek X. I think he's smart. I think he's a very good personality.
Okay.
You know, not extremely athletic, but willing to hold his own, and just seems like a good character. Just very, seems just like a very nice person to be around. Good vibes. So I think that's one of the biggest things is like you don't want to step on too many toes. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to be smart enough to win some challenges. I think he's going to be smart enough to create the right alliances and have the numbers. So I like Derek X, but I wouldn't mind the Frenchie one either. But Derek X is my pick to win.
I like that pick a lot. That's probably my number 2 pick, but I'm going to go with Xavier. I have him in my pool at home. I'm pulling for him. I hope he wins. I think he does have a good shot. I think he has everything you need, all the tools. He's smart, athletic, outgoing, was a college athlete. I think he's got a lot going for him. If he can just get in the right situation, I think he will do all right. So that's going to be my official pick.
A lawyer as well.
That's what I'm saying. He's super smart.
You get in a courtroom, you're gonna have to talk. I mean, you're gonna have to create a good argument for yourself why you should not go home, why this person should go home.
Yep.
I mean, it's all about debates. And when he sits down there with a person or lays down, he's gonna look at the person and say, "Hey, this is why they're gonna go. This is why they're bad for your strategy, and why it's like good for our." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really like them.
I agree. But yeah, that's our picks. We will be back. I will be back. I hope Dow will be back. I guess the next episode is Sunday. So we will be back Sunday to talk about what goes on. I guess it will be it's just she said there's going to be a new competition for something. So the winner of that, there will be a reward. I'm not really sure. They didn't really specify, but we will be back on Sunday night. Appreciate you guys listening. It's going to be a fun season.